everyone. How you doing? I'm Walter Forsberg. I'm a second-year MEF student. I just want to give a big air hug to Dan and all my classmates for putting on and also, especially a big air hug to all of the booth rats for that.
16 frames per second, 14 would have been better, maybe even 13. So then switch from pixels to nitrate and to 17.5 millimeter, and travel back in time for about 100 years. Are you with me?
And instead of giving a talk, we decided to produce a little booklet on those programs. And Hannah will tell you more about them.
On the booklet, you find the titles of the film, which we choose for this compilation. And I just want to tell you from which archives these films are taken. From the Association of Frères Lumière, Centre National de la Cinématographie, Netherlands Film Museum, Cineteca de Bologna, Film Archive Austria, Imperial War Museum, and the Austrian Film Museum. The booklet that you hold in your hand, we didn't bring 240 booklets from Austria to Vienna, so we produced them in New York, and they are handmade. So this means we were sitting in a Chelsea hotel and stamped them. So
I've sort of been doling it out as part of Lost Landscapes of San Francisco, and the new plan is actually to play it on the Market Street Railway, the historic streetcars that run up and down Market Street, and sync the film up with the street so that as you navigate the street you will see the film. And I guess the technology to do this will be in a couple of the cars early next year.
And kind of hung it up in order and tried to save as much as I could, because every shot had some serious damage on it. But I ended up with a long, like a 700 long roll of film with everything taped together very carefully. And it got sent up to our lab very quickly so they could repair it, and then they didn't talk to me for about a year after that. Unfortunately, when it came time to print it is when we started to move to Culpeper, so it got put back on the shelf. When the last Orphans came up, it was, we wanted to show it then, but just could not get a print of it. So that's when I did the slideshow that I showed last time. And when I did that slideshow, I noticed that the reel had started deteriorating again and was getting sticky. And I went to Mike Michon and said, we've got to do something about this. So we sent it to Warehouse Color Lab, and they started working on it. And the absolutely astounding work of Julia Nickel to save this reel of film is, she's the one to really thank for this, because I don't know anyone else who would have taken the time and the effort to rebuild parts of this reel to bring the effect back. Now, the really great thing about this reel is, if you're familiar at all with the film, of course, it's about the big textile strike. It was made by a union group, and the reel that was missing was the as I call it, the heart-tugging reel. It's about the kids. Here's what happened to the children of the strikers when how they were affected by the strike. So, without further ado, here is reel 5 of Save Textile Strike.
I was invited to Montevideo, Uruguay, by Angela Lopez Ruiz and Guillermo Zacala to be visiting artists at the Foundation of Contemporary Art, an artist collective there, and to offer a workshop for artists who had personal archives of films.
And this was an old guy who worked as a set designer in a lot of German feature films. And he did all these intertitles of the early Munich Film Museum reconstructions. And one day he sent a letter to Enno Patalas and said he was a filmmaker in the early 30s, and he did some early sound experimental films. And if the Munich Film Museum doesn't want to show them, and he got his evening in the film museum, Enno Patalas was not very delighted about the films, but the filmmaker, just before he died, gave all the prints to the Munich Film Museum.
Called Anamnesis, and it was to revisit
Revisitar los fundamentos filosóficos del festival.
revisit the essential fundamental framework, philosophical framework of the festival.
Algunos de ellos aparecen en la pantalla.
Okay, so some of these philosophical the philosophical framework of the festival is outlined on the pages here.
El último punto, que era la producción, era ver el intercambio que había habido en esa época con artistas extranjeros y retomar ese punto para la producción uruguaya, es decir, los artistas octogenarios, artistas jóvenes y artistas extranjeros, unirlos en un punto de creación. En esto entra lo que contó Bill.
The last step was to find artists from abroad that had participated in the festival and to bring them together with local artists from the different generations of the festival to see what kind of works they had created.
So I want to thank them for doing that. I actually haven't seen the film, so it should be fun. Thanks.
This piece is kind of slow and contemplative, so I'm not sure how it's going to play at this point in the evening, but we'll see. It's simply two pieces of source material that I thought, I just intercut, and I thought they had a comparative relationship that I was interested in exploring. One is this footage of the Garden of Eden that I've had basically as a found footage film for about 20 years. And it's part of this project, the New Media Bible. And I think it's from the late 60s. This is the book of Genesis. And I looked it up online. It's like a proselytizing tool sort of to spread Christianity in the form of a film, around, I think this probably to Latin America, this version. And I simply intercut it with these, this reel I had of virtual reality demos from the early 80s, and I was interested in the kind of similarity between them, that you have this kind of utopian moment of origin, of sort of wonderment of the world, and kind of the original people kind of reaching out, the physical body in relationship to space, and this sort of beginnings of a certain kind of self-knowledge.
To gain support for the initiative, this is 2 of 16 reels that he shot over the course of 1927 in a worldwide trip with the warbirds. I'll show a few excerpts from this film, Back to the Soil, and read his corresponding journal entries.
And as a way of thanking Dan for not only this issue, but for all the work that he's done all of these years for the Orphan Film Symposium, we'd like to present him with a trophy. A functional trophy. It actually tells the correct time. I'm going to make sure that everybody can truly appreciate the artistry of this frog clock. There's a really beautiful sticker on the back that says, "Things by Paul, 1546 Longview Road, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina." And we've made a little plaque of our own on the front that says, "In honor of Dan Strebel, rescuer of orphan films, mascots, journals, and scholars, with deepest gratitude." So this is really from all of us to Dan.
Don't use your yard for a bathroom.